Inside leverage. Inside leverage, your gateway to the fascinating realm of the Miami Dolphins. Join us as we delve deep into the team's dynamic Super Bowl journey. We invite you to share your most scorching takes, unwind, and relish in our captivating experience.
It's inside leverage.
Get your popcorn ready.
We always gonna put on a show, baby. That's what we do.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is another Inside Leverage episode. I am joined by the one and only Chris Mechanic, Wally Wonka, French Lauren Don,
Killer.
and of course, the Mantua Messi by Law. You know what time it is. We got a very special guest with us tonight. He doesn't need much of an introduction, but I will give you a little breakdown. This very special guest is a Penn State grade, a Miami Dolphins icon, and a man who knows how to light up the mic just as well as he lit up the field. You've seen him on Sundays, and now you hear him co-hosting the hit show, The Fish Tank, breaking down the game and sharing stories like only he can. Give it up for the one, the only OJ McDuffie. Sir.
Juice.
What it do?
What's going on?
What's good, fellas? What's good?
Listen, man, this is, I know I speak for everybody here. It's an honor for you to join us. Appreciate you spending the time with us. You don't need much of an introduction. Everybody knows who 81 is, but you know, there's some stuff that actually, you know what, it would help if I would turn on my camera, right?
Wonder what you're hiding from, man. Wonder what you're
No,
hiding
yo,
from, man.
I thought it was one of our guys that was off camera. Shout out to my son, as a matter of fact. He just texted me. He's like, "Hey, your camera's not working." So it helped.
Right.
Listen, man. You know what you've been up to. I know you doing this podcast thing. I've listened to a couple episodes. Give some background on what's going on.
Yeah, man. You know, it's off season like everybody else. We're still doing our podcast. We do it every other week now instead of weekly like we do during the season. Just trying to, spend time with the family, man. Football season, as you guys know, is all encompassing. You know, it's nonstop when it comes to football season. And hell, we're back at it already down here, man. Guys reported this week. And so football season's back at it. You know, NFL is great about that, man. They want to occupy all 12 months of the year, and they're doing a damn good job of it. That's for sure.
Yeah, they do a good job of marketing. That's for sure.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I did a little background, and being an ex-baseball coach, okay, I saw that, and I didn't know this. You were drafted, and I know it was in the 41st round, but you were a ball player. Pretty athletic. You played basketball, high school, baseball, football, but what made you decide to go to the NFL opposed to following, a major league career? I know, of course, the money helps, but did you lean more to football versus baseball, or what was your positioning there?
Yeah, well, baseball was definitely a dream of mine. I played baseball since I was 5 years old, all the way up to 2 years at Penn State. I played baseball. Actually 1.5. I kind of shut it down halfway through my second season there. And I was lucky enough to get drafted. But I think that the reason I even, I wanted to play baseball is because I would get that opportunity possibly to play both or have an opportunity to make a choice on either one. And it definitely was about the money. I mean, once I got drafted by the Angels, they came to Penn State. They talked to me. They talked some numbers. Numbers didn't make any sense to me. So at that point, I said, you know what? I'm just going to focus on football because I know I can make a lot more money playing football right now. Otherwise, I might be at 55. I might still be in the minors in baseball. You know what I mean? Trying
That's
to
facts.
get to the
That's
bigs.
facts.
You know.
Yep.
So
Yep. That's
yeah,
true.
it really was all about the money, man. Even though baseball definitely was a passion of mine, but I love the physical part of football, though, the contact, man. You know, there's not a lot of that in baseball. Um, you don't see guys running the catchers over anymore or taking guys out
No.
of second base anymore, man. So they took all the physical violence out of baseball. So yeah, so no, just seriously though, but football was a way of making money right away. Whereas baseball, who knows how long it could have taken me.
So, quick follow up question, and then we'll go on to. I know Junior's got some questioning for you. I know you were an outfielder, and you set some sort of like record for steals. What'd you hit while you were up there?
What was it? What my average?
Yeah, yeah, your average, yeah.
I think I was around 320, 325. Yeah, led
Damn.
off. Yeah, I led off for the Nittany Lions, and yeah, man, it was fun, man. It was baseball. It was a lot of fun, and if I had taken it a little more serious, I probably could have been a little better at baseball. But hell, I mean, I had a blast, man. Just getting drafted alone was a hell of a feat for me.
Yeah, I listen. 325 is no joke, man. So, and I know Wally's a big baseball guy too. Wally, I think you're muted.
Yeah, Wally
Go
is
ahead, Junior.
muted.
Yeah, he's muted. Yeah, you gotta get off mute, my boy.
Yeah, he's still what? What me? He's not muted actually. You got him muted over there, coach. You got him muted
Uh,
or something, right?
Oh,
no, no.
my mic was playing tricks on me, man. I was
Oh.
just saying, man. Selfishly, I'm glad you made the decision, man. Nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm put that TV on a Sunday. I seen OJ catch that slant. Take it to the house. Nah, I'm good. I'm good.
All right,
I'm good.
bet.
Go ahead, Junior.
Hey, OJ, appreciate you for coming through and hanging out with us. I want to talk about your great career here with the Miami Dolphins and kind of talk to you about the culture in that organization, that winning culture, compared to what was there then. What was it like, and how can we bring that culture back
Yeah.
to now to the present, where we can emulate the same success like you guys did when you were playing with the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I came to the Dolphins, they were the winningest organization in pro sports. It wasn't just football; they were the winningest organization in pro sports, hovering somewhere in the 70% win percentage. And
That's right.
I think it really boils down to a locker room. Of course, when I got there, we had such great leadership. When you got Marino, you got Urban Fryer, you got Brian Cox, you got all these guys that are just super super great leaders. But they also put that work in on the football field and in the classroom. So I'm not sure. I'm not in the building as much as I wish I was for the current squad, but something isn't translating because they've got the most amazing facilities. They got the greatest technology out there. They got a pretty good medical staff for the most part. The coaches seem like they're knowledgeable. It's just not happening on Sundays like we needed to, or like we see some other organizations succeed, and some of them are succeeding overnight. When you look at the Commanders, you look at what Houston did, things like that. And we're
Right.
still waiting for another win since early 2000 in the playoffs. So it's frustrating. Um, but our owner gives them everything they need. Brand new facility, redid the whole stadium. Everything is state of the art. And it's just not something's not vibing over there. And I think it starts a lot of times. You can blame coaches, you can blame whatever, but the locker room has to be mandated by some great leaders. And I'm not sure if they're there. I'm not saying they're not there, but I'm not seeing it. The reason we were successful because our locker room has some great leaders on it, and we took that out to the football field. We took it to the practice field. We took it to the meeting room. We took it on the road with us. Whatever it was, we had some guys that were showing us the right way of doing things, and you know, for some reason we're not getting the same results, and it's frustrating. I became a Dolphin fan in April of 1993. That's that's when I became a fan of the squad, right? When they took me to 25th pick, and I'm still a huge fan to this day. And I suffer with everybody else, with the how mediocre we've been, how average we've been, and how we think we're getting there, and then all of a sudden we're back to the same guys, and still drafting middle of the draft every year. It's frustrating, man. So I don't know. Whatever you guys think is the issue, we need to bring it up for the whole squad, and hopefully they'll listen to us, the fans, and get it figured out soon before before it's too late.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think it's so many things that I feel like could be the problem. And I think the main factor, which a friend of mine, OG Campbell, he mentioned about having developing drafted players
Yeah,
and allowing them to be the leaders because you're bringing in so much different leaders from so much
right.
different teams. Sometimes what they feel like they led in that team, they bring it here, and then that might not be the vision of what the or organization is looking for. So that can cause conflict. So I
Yeah,
think part of it is for the team to grow draft players and develop that leadership in those players they drafted and keep them here.
that's a great point right there. My man Seth Levin, who does the fish tank with me, he's always talking about us drafting well. People say we don't draft well. We draft well. We just don't re-sign our guys. We don't bring them back. You know what I mean? We let them go and they go on somewhere else every single time and go be
Yep.
superstars somewhere. It
Yep.
never fails, right? And so that's critical right there. Draft and develop, and you get the right guys that start a culture. When the culture, look, everybody, I always use a couple examples, right? I love my brothers from UM and went to the University of Miami. A lot of those guys ain't come into Miami braggadocious and hot dogging and stuff like that, but that became their culture. But it was also a winning culture. All of them started doing that, right? You go to New England, everybody's humble. They walk in the door, they're humble, they go to work, and that became their culture. What is our culture? We don't have an identity, and I think that's the key. We get some guys that create this identity in that locker room, and then anybody that comes in from the outside, they'll adapt to that. We haven't had that adaptation. That's a big word like mayonnaise. It's hard to get that one out. That adaptation, to a culture because we don't know what it is. So I think that's the biggest issue with this squad is that they have to figure out a way to get the right leaders, and then once you get the right leaders, we keep them, and then everybody else that comes in, they follow that lead.
Go ahead, well. Oh no, French is up,
That's
right?
stuff too. Uh, yeah, and shout out to the McDuffies. I'm from the McDuffies.
French, I think you need to
you
put the
always say
Wi-Fi. You got to put the Wi-Fi password in.
Yeah, first he got that dial
Hold
up
on.
on.
Yeah, he's got that AOL connection, right?
Yeah, he got that.
It's the
I don't know. With all the money he has, I don't know what's going on with that. He got all this money, he ain't got no internet. It's crazy. Since Fred's ain't here, man, and I know you don't. You say you're not really too much around the locker room, but I know you know what a winner look like. I know you know what it look like. I know what effort looks like. And do you see that here? Something is it like a slight vision out there that you see, man? Let me get these dogs up in here and maybe we'll cook something.
Yeah. I think you got to have a bunch of dogs in your locker room. You really do, man. I look at a 53-man roster. I always say this. There's probably about 51 guys on that team that you wouldn't want your daughter near. You know what I mean? And 2 of them that you want your daughter to marry. But I want 51 other dogs out there that are about that. You know what I mean? And it's just being funny. But you got to have some guys that can be nice at home, but when they get on that football field, they walk out there, man. They just want to be some killers, man. And we've got some. But you need more. You need a whole bunch of killers out there because everybody we're playing against, the Buffaloes, the Ravens, even the Jets sometimes, they got a bunch of killers out there, man. And we got to match that. We got to match that intensity. We got to match that that level of physicality that we haven't been able to do. And we seem like we kind of shrink in those moments a lot of times because I hate to say it, but at times out there we get pumped. That's not.
Yeah.
It's not the way. That's not how we played the game when I played.
I think it became like a PR situation. I think after the Incognito and Jonathan Martin situation, the team has shied away from you got to be a little bit off, man. Football players, you're not normal. It's a gladiator sport. You want these cookie cutters is not gonna cut it, man. And I think the team has too many of them. And when you bring an alpha out here, you see how they clash because they can't adapt to the soft culture we've created. We brought Junior Seau in here and he followed suit. Back in the days, they knew what's up. Like here now, it's different, man. I can't adapt to it. I don't see it.
Yeah, you can't adapt to these current kids, right? It's definitely a tough deal, man. I used to coach baseball too, coach, and I stopped coaching because I couldn't deal with some of these kids, and And
Mhm.
you know, hell, we were
So
playing travel ball
for
and
me,
looking
for me, it was the kids and the
and the
parents too.
parents. The
Yeah,
parents.
yeah. Oh, you know.
And even nowadays,
No,
somebody
you know, Alex. We got the new Alex here. He's your new shortstop. He's the next Derek Jeter. Yeah, no, I think you're on the wrong team. You need to move on.
well, I'm gonna tell you this, man. We adapted, you know, the game changer app. And you know, it showed the parents exactly what their kids were doing, hitting,
That's right.
fielding, everything. So why is Alex not playing shortstop? Well, here he's got 5 errors in the last 7 games. You know what I mean? Why is he not batting in the third
Hey,
spot?
that's
He's
facts.
batting a
Got
buck
the
and a
digital
quarter,
report
man.
card.
You know, so it's like, yeah, it's like easy. It's not what they see. Hell, they see a ball go through the shortstop's legs and it gets to the fence and they think their son just hit a double. You know what I mean? That's not how it is. That's what you know what I mean? So I'm like,
Man, I know, man. Wow,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
French, you
Hey,
go ahead, French.
You good, French?
I'm back, baby. I'm back like I never left.
Sure, go
Hey,
ahead.
like I said, shout out to the McDuffies. Really quick, Juice. When you talk a little bit about what you were talking about, just to build off of what they were saying as well, you play with some legendary coaches, you play with legendary players like Marino and some of the guys you play with. What are some of the things you learned from that era that sticks with you to this day? You know, that work ethic, you know, you think about those two-a-days and just kind of just the grind that, you know, you hear from Joe Rose, the you know, the Shula era. What are some of those things that you learned from that era that still stick with you to this day?
Yeah, that's a great question, French, because they've cut down on a lot of things now. They, you know, they can't have as many padded practices. They can't meet as long. NFLPA has kind of made it really, really tough on coaches to get the work in that they need physically. So the mental grind is what it was for us, man. That classroom was everything. You know, the mental reps that we took and the walkthroughs we did, and the work that we did on our own was critical. So I don't know. You know, what kind of shook me last year is when Tyreek was talking about how, you know, they don't get enough work together. You know, that's why they were off a little bit. And that had me, when I look at the injury report every week and you know, Tyreek's got vet rest and this guy's got vet rest and this other guy's got vet rest. You know, if you're a vet and you think you need work, then take yourself off the vet rest list and go out there and, you know what I mean? I used to marvel when I first got here at Irvin Fryer and Dan Marino and Keith Jackson and Keith Byers and Mark Ingram. On Thursday, we did defensive day. But on that Thursday, you look at the other field and Marino and all those guys, they're going hard over there, running routes, going over plays, looking at, you know, kind of scheming what the game plan is going to be. And they were getting that work. And the timing was impeccable with those guys because they put in all that extra work. So I don't know what they do in terms of offense, defensive days, if they do both every day. But when the offense is going, you know, guys like myself back then, you know, I was, you know, barely getting into work, but when our defense is going, I'm running scout, but there's other guys over there putting that work in another field, and I couldn't wait to get on the other field. I call it Club Med over there. You know what I mean? They run a couple routes, they take a knee, get some water, they run another route, they take a knee, get some water. I'm over there grinding with the defense with Sam Madison trying to choke me out and Troy Bishop trying to choke me out. You know, Pat Surtain killing me in the slot.
T-Buck.
You know what I mean?
You got T-Buck too.
T-Buck, yeah, man. You go back to JB Brown, all them boys, man. They were, you know,
man.
I was trying to get to that other field, man. So I think it's the extra work, man. You gotta put that extra work in. You can't just count on. And I tell my kids this. My kids play baseball too. You can't just count on what's scheduled to get better. You know, you can't just use whatever the coach puts on the calendar and the schedule and use that as a time to get better. You got to do some stuff on your own. And I think some guys, you know, I saw so much film of these guys in the off season. You know, a local park right around the corner here in Fort Lauderdale. They're out there working, doing routes. I haven't seen that lately. They need to get back to putting in that extra time with themselves away from the facility and work on some timing, man. Because there are some times I see receivers in the same position, same spot, you know, miscommunication here and there. I heard that word over and over and over again, miscommunication, all the way up to like week 14, 15, 16. That's unexcusable. That's inexcusable.
And they got iPhones.
I'll tell you, wait, French, before we go on, you can't complain. There's a famous saying that I used to say when I was coaching is you can't complain about the results, about the work you didn't put in. If you didn't put in that work, you understand what I'm saying? You just can't do that.
Right.
You say, oh, we're losing, but if you look up and, you know, you got guys shelved, they're just, you know, taking it easy.
Now I'm gonna add another monster to you here too. I mean, it was it was the same when I played, but boy, South Florida is no joke, man. South Florida's no joke. Too much to do all the
It ain't for
time.
everybody. It ain't for
Man,
everybody.
if you can't handle South Florida, man, you cannot. Like you look at some of these really, really good teams, the Buffaloes, ain't nothing else to do there but play football. Green Bay, there's nothing
Ain't
else
nothing
to
to
do
do.
there but play football. I mean, Kansas City, there's nothing else to do there but play football. So when all you have is football, it definitely helps your organization. But when you've got everything here, you
Yep.
see the dudes at the Heat games, you see
Yep.
them, at the hockey games, you see these dudes at the concerts, you see these dudes on the beach. I get it. If you can handle that and put that work in and be on, I told guys all the time, I don't care what you do, Monday through Saturday, I make sure you show up on Sunday. And if you're not showing up on Sunday, you need to cut down some of the stuff you're doing those other 6 days. That's all I cared about,
Hey, and to steal something that Joe Rose would say, we got all kinds of flavors here. I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Baskin Robbins
So that
down here,
that
man.
alone, I mean,
And with
Baskin
sprinkles.
Robbins, man.
hey,
With
people
sprinkles on
catch
top.
they catch the South Beach flu. It's over, bro.
But Juice, but that's one of the things I was just going to finish with is, and this is something I was saying earlier in Spaces, South Florida gives so much. Stephen Ross gives so much. The money, the lifestyle, the beach, the restaurants. If you do it right in South Florida, you'll never pay for anything again, Juice. I hope you're not paying for anything down here, Juice.
I
But
pay, on occasion, I do. On occasion.
Come on. Hey,
I mean,
don't
listen,
be
we need
getting
to
that man
rectify
being there
that.
like that, French.
we need to
You
rectify
said
that.
you setting Juice up, man. You setting Juice up, man.
You're doing too much. You got
Yeah.
No. But I just say that to say we give so much as a community.
Yeah.
At times you look at what these players give us when they lead a team. You like, did we get what we gave when we gave the contract and the lifestyle?
Yeah. I call it the WWW dot down here, man. The weather, the water, and the women. It's a tough deal for a lot of these guys down here, man. And a lot of times when they get all this money, they think some of them made it already, bro. They've made it, and it's kind of a cruise control situation, in my opinion. They're not grinding for more. Once you got the money, what are you playing for next? For chips. You got to be playing for championships. You got to be playing for trophies, man. Once your lifestyle is secure, man, now let's go out and win something. Don't just coast after that point, man. And I'm not saying guys are, but hell, I've seen a lot of guys that are super comfortable down here. That's for sure.
Well, look, on that point, I'm glad they bring up that point because my one of my questions that I was thinking about asking you was like, what is the what do you see? Man, somebody's burning out some
wasting gas, man. Gas prices ain't down yet, man. They got to start wasting gas.
I put gas for 260 highly, and you know how to get it.
Okay.
Well, okay.
Well, I need $2 on number. I need $2 on pump number 2, man. That's how I grew up.
That's right. You right.
So listen, how do you compare? How do you see? Because the whole thing about championships and getting their money and championships. Like for me, I have the old school mentality. Obviously, you can tell I'm the elder in the group, right? My thing is that the argument that I have, not so much with these guys, but other people out there, my ex-players and some of my coworkers, and some of these guys just don't care about championships anymore. But as an athlete, that's the ultimate reward. Yeah, you want to get paid, but that ring still means something, at least to some of us.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that way now. I don't know what your perspective is on that.
Yeah, what I would do is, you got to bring in the right guys. Now, you got some guys that are great players that played on teams that lost every single year in college. You got guys that we pick up in free agency that they probably on that team they were on lost all the time. Go out there and get you some champions, man. Go out there and get some guys that are used to winning and hate losing. Go out and get some guys that if you lose on Sunday, you won't see them all week out and about. They'll be waiting for the next game so they can get some get back. I think that's the key. And some guys have won some championships. We had a couple guys on our team that won some championships, but in college, especially in college, look at what the Eagles did. They drafted all of freaking Georgia. Go to some of those universities and grab some of them dudes, some dogs that are used to winning, and they'll be sick to their stomach when they lose some games here, and they'll fix it. So I think that's the key, man. Draft some winners. Recruit some winners, bring in some good leaders, or like we talked about earlier, develop some of your guys to turn them leaders. Like going back to what I said about, the leadership, most of the guys that are in the NFL, they were captains in college. They were leaders on their football teams. I know I was, I know Marino was, I know Fryer, all those guys were leaders on the team. But when you get to the NFL, you've got to sit there and you got to wait for your turn to be the leader, be the captain. So I sat back and let, those guys, the Friars, Brian Cox, the Marinos, be the leaders until it was my turn. But, these guys all have it in them, man, because they've been there before. If it wasn't in college, they were definitely, leaders in high school. All these dudes had great high school careers. I mean, they don't get college opportunities if they didn't have great high school careers. And then they have, decent enough or great high school or college careers to get to the pros. So the leadership has to come out, man. And you gotta be honestly, I mean, you gotta be willing to get in some dudes' face if they're not doing the right things, man. I mean, there's so many things that happen in our locker room that we never let get out of the locker room. Now with social media, it's tougher. But hell, if dudes wasn't doing the right thing, then guys got into it a little bit, man. I call NFL a glorified prison, man. Guys are walking around naked, wide open showers. It's alpha male, man. Somebody get in your face, big or small. You gotta handle that. You might take an L. Hell, I got an Urban Friars face. I knew I was gonna take an L if we'd have fought. Glad we didn't. You know what I mean? I got into a fight with Daryl Gardner. I mean, big defensive tackle.
No way. Hold on. You can't just gloss over that.
Can we expound on that? We need to expound on that.
You and DG?
Nah, well, it didn't. It wasn't really a fight, man. He came and pushed the shit out of me, and I slid for like 20 yards. 20 yards. I slid 2 first downs. You know what I mean? That was the end of that, but I wasn't gonna run.
Hey, you ain't no punk though. You ain't no punk.
Gonna run.
Nah, it's gonna be some consequences and repercussions out here.
Wow. That, sure.
Yo, man, we could end the show right now, man.
Hey, we cool now though. Thank goodness, man. He's still a big dude. So
that's cool, a big man. That's a big man, bro. Hey, listen. That's how I know you a dog. That's how I know you a dog. DG, stop playing.
I didn't care, man. I didn't care. And I think, you know what? That's how, that's why I became a fan favorite of the defense side of the football, man. Plus I was trying to knock dudes out, man. I was blocking my ass off, man.
Man, we seen it.
All the blind side blocks that are illegal now, man. They probably outlawed that because I was trying to kill people out there, bro.
We've seen it.
I love that. I love Mug. Mug wasn't paying attention, man. I mean, please.
Man,
that's free game.
Well, Juice, I was going to just say, at times, I feel like people play us with that little bit of an edge where you look at the Tyreek where they drag them down for the back, or you look at Tua, the extra little shove. I feel like we got to start playing some of these other teams with that little bit of an edge, because I feel like when they play us, it's almost like they're like, well, let's do that little extra because we can get over on them. But we gotta assert our way the other way.
Yeah. We play to the whistle instead of through the whistle. You know what I mean? I mean, you gotta really go out there and make the referee say, hey. You know what I mean? Whoa, stop. You know what I mean? Plays over. We helping guys up and exchanging jerseys these days, man. I would have never. Look,
bro. You know how refreshing it is to hear that, man.
Ty Law's a friend of mine now, man, but I couldn't stand him when we played against each other. You know what I mean? That dude right there, man. And these dudes now get kicking together, man. It's like, come on, man. You're supposed to hate these dudes. I hate the Jets. I hate the Patriots. I hate the Bills. I still hate the Colts, and they're not even in our division anymore.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
All this soft stuff.
Yeah, man. I ain't got time for it.
Go ahead,
Chad.
That,
no, wait. We'll let Chad. Chad just got here. Let Chad jump in here.
Oh, Chad, let me see you. Welcome, brother. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? What's going on, Juice? Appreciate you for giving us your time. Sorry for the late arrival.
No worries, man. I'm about to fine you for that, though.
Hey, we ain't talking money. And we ain't talking money neither.
French will cover. Don't worry.
Big hill, man. You know what I mean? I had to do some things that soul running. Juice, you were talking earlier about how when you came in, you had Irvin Fryer in the room. Right now, the Dolphins have a litany of pass catchers, as you sure know, with Waddle, Tyreek. We just added Westbrook Akine. Jalen Waddle is a guy who hasn't been getting targeted as much as I think he should. Initially, when Mike McDaniel got here, he made a big thing about how, we're going to see this blossoming from Jalen Waddle, and we expected so much from the Tua-Waddle relationship. What do you think are the expectations for Jalen Waddle moving forward, and how do you deal with not getting the ball enough as a wide receiver. Like, is that something that you just continue to just push forward regardless of whether you're getting the targets or not, or does it weigh on you at all? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, that's a great question. And you're right. You're 1,000% right about Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle puts that work in, man. Jalen Waddle deserves a lot more opportunities than he's getting. He really does. We force feed Tyreek a lot, and I get it, he's our most dynamic offensive player out there. But man, does Jalen Waddle not get the looks that he deserves, and it's got to be frustrating. You know, you saw him in the Jets game when Tyreek decided not to go back in the game. You know, Waddle's like, Reek, you done? You know what I mean? And Waddle's like, well, hell, you know, we're going without him. Waddle should be getting way more opportunities, in my opinion. And he's humble about it. He doesn't make us think about it, you know? And that's the biggest issue. I thought we had a 1A and 1B receiver. Now they're really making like, you know, an A and a B receiver, a 1 and 2 receiver by the fact that they don't give Waddle the opportunities I think that he deserves. For me, I'm just waiting my time, man. You know, I knew that my opportunities were going to come. They started coming first on third down. And then, you know, I got more opportunities as a starter and so on and so forth. And that's when I got mine. But hell, don't think I didn't say something before I started getting my opportunities. You know, Danny and I got into it a couple times, man. Hell, I think I could whoop Marino. I'm not sure. I think I could probably beat him if I.
Hey, man, listen. Hey, that's another question. That's another question coming. All right.
No, I'm just playing, man. That's my dude right there. But I'm just saying, like, you got to let it be known that, you know, especially watching film, you know, like, you know, take a look, man. Look. You don't have to force it anywhere. But now here's the converse though. You know, I was hanging out with Lamar Thomas last night. You know, we were watching the Panthers hockey game, and he was telling everybody how Danny threw the ball to me all the time, even though Lamar said he was open all the time. So I get where he's coming from, because I felt the same way when Irvin was getting all the looks, or Ingram was getting all the looks, and I was getting some crumbs every once in a while. But I was cool with crumbs for a while. I was, until I wasn't. And Waddle shouldn't be cool with it at all. Waddle should not be cool with it at all.
I agree. Go ahead, Junior.
Yeah, man. So what do you think Mike McDaniel will do, or I don't know if you heard anything, because I expect that Waddle should be the main guy and Tyreek should be the B, the AB. If you're Waddle's 1A and Tyreek's 1B. Do you think that's something realistically they'll do that? Because I feel Tyreek will eventually, more than likely, be gone, if not this year during the season and trade deadline, or next year. So at this point, you kind of want to incorporate Waddle as the primary guy. Do you think that's something realistically they'll do this year?
Not until Tyreek's gone. I don't think so. I think Tyreek's always going to be that number 1A, and for right reason, man. Look, I mean, the dude he's phenomenal. But until Tyreek is not there, like I wasn't going to be 1A until Irvin Fryer was gone, you know, and then he goes to Philly and then he torches us. That's a whole different story. But you know, that's when I got my opportunities. But you know, the two are dynamic receivers, but Tyreek is something special. We all know that. When he's on the field and doing some of the stuff that he does, man, it's unbelievable. But that's no slight to Waddle. And I think that Waddle should get more opportunity. If Tyreek gets 12 targets, Waddle should get 9. You know what I mean? If Tyreek gets 10, Waddle should get 7. Every single game. I would start every single game out. And they tried this. They tried it a few times. Every single game, first series, they target Waddle, and then they forget about it. You know, that would drive me nuts, man. It would drive me absolutely nuts, man. So I think in order for Waddle to be 1A, it had to be when Tyreek's either not playing or not there at all. Sure.
Man, Juice, I'm gonna need a story for that, Rito, man. I'm gonna need one, because when I was a kid, I heard the backward pass story. That was a myth all over Miami. Every park. Oh, he threw a backwards pass 70 yards. I got a 2-part question, and then fondest memory as a Dolphin or a member of the Miami community.
All right. Well, fondest memory. I'll go there first, man. First of all, it was draft day. It's funny they just showed that on Instagram. They did. You know, that one call that I got from Coach Shula, man. That's facts right there, man. It was an amazing phone call, number 25, Sunday afternoon. You know, now it's a prime time event, but our draft started Sunday at noon. So it was somewhere probably around 3:00 in the afternoon. I was asleep most of the day before I got drafted. I was partying the night before, man. That's a different story. Hell, I figure, the Hayes in the barn now, man. They're going to draft me or they're not going to draft me now,
Hey,
man.
might as well go out there.
Somebody's going to get me, so I might as well go ahead and kick it tonight. So I did. I kicked it hard, a little too hard. But anyhow, on that phone call, it was great, man. And but so that was probably one of my fondest memories. Another one, just being a part of Marino's career at the end, where he was milestone after milestone after milestone. 300 touchdown passes. I caught his 400. I caught his 399, 400, 401 touchdown in the same game. You know what I mean, against the Saints, and that right there was just crazy. Because we going to that game, and Danny's like, look, when I throw my second touchdown, I'm gonna need that football. He knew he was gonna throw at least 2 touchdowns in the game against the Saints, and sure as hell he threw 3, and I got all 3 of those guys, man. So that was always fun, just getting those milestones, and playing with a guy like that, and to be able to, after Duper and Clayton were gone, after Fryer was gone, to help him at the end of his career, man, that meant a lot to me, and he talks about it a lot. I appreciate that he talks about it a lot. I appreciate that in his retirement speech he mentioned me. I appreciate that he talked about me in his Hall of Fame speech. That right there. I mean, what else can you ask for when you got one of the greatest ever throw it, showing you some love and appreciation.
Best quarterback to ever do it. You argue with the wall. I ain't trying to hear that, man. He's the best quarterback. And you made me like football. I used to like baseball. I ain't like football.
Right.
I didn't know what that sport looked like.
I mean, you're Dominican, so you're gonna like baseball.
Yeah, so I see Dan Marino, I see the OJ. I'm like, yo, what is this? And it looked beautiful. It was like poetry. I didn't know what he was doing, but I loved it.
Yeah. Danny and I got into it a couple of times, man. We're going to start off right away. Penn State. We don't like each other. You know what I mean? So it's like that Penn State rivalry didn't work out at the beginning, man. But we had a couple of games, man, where I'd let Daddy know, man. I said, yo, man, you gotta. I'm running wide open over here, man. You letting the ball go a little early. Lamar and Rondé, they said I called Danny a bitch. I don't remember that. I don't remember that, and they swear by it. Danny doesn't remember it either, so I think they made stuff up, man. But they
making it up.
Yeah,
Nah. Listen, OJ. Hey, you seen OJ blocking? Yeah. You think he didn't say that? You think? Hey, big dog. I need to get the ball with him.
It really went down, and in the heat of the moment, man. Shit. I mean, stuff gets sick. You guys cuss on this podcast?
Yeah, man.
We're all adults here. We're all adults.
Yeah. So in the heat of battle, man, shit happens. You know what I mean? And
Tell you.
We're playing in Oakland, and it was early in the game, and I'm running routes. And hell, before I get to my route, 12, 15 yards down the field, the ball's going. So I come to the sideline, and I told Danny straight up, I said, man, you acting like a little bitch in the pocket, man.
Hey,
I'm just a hothead, man. I was disrespectful. I should have never said that. And he said, "What'd you say to me, OJ?" I said, "Man, you acting like a little bitch in the pocket." And I said, "Fuck you, OJ. I'm not gonna throw you the ball." I said, "Man, you ain't throwing me the ball anyways. No matter, man." So yeah, we cleaned that up in the middle of that game, man. And I felt bad about that. I said never talk to Danny like that, our fearless leader, man. But I was frustrated, man. Frustrated.
Is that a wide receiver thing? Because you guys have the unwarranted fame of being divas, but you guys do a lot of dirty work. Specifically, you. Like we seen your game tape. So is that like a misinterpretation of wide receivers that you guys are divas, or is it true?
Oh, we're definitely divas, man. That's not even a question, man. Look, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm such a diva, man. My uniform is the most important thing for me off rip. If my uniform isn't right, then it's not going to be a good day for me, man. I used to lay my whole uniform out in front of my locker, man. Socks, shoes, pants, all that, man. If it wasn't right, it's going to be a long day for me because I'm going to be like worried about my fit. Once my fit was right, then my mind was right. I already had the game plan down, man. Then we can go out here and perform, man. But absolutely divas, man. You see it getting on the plane. We had to dress up for road trips. You see the linemen all wear like a blue blazer and khakis. You know what I mean?
Just simple stuff.
Simple stuff. Unless you're Richmond Webb. Now Richmond Webb I don't know where he found all
he was different.
His suit went down to his kneecaps. You know what I mean? That was a lot of cloth, man. But it was fresh as hell, man. Yeah, we don't call him Big Sexy for nothing, man.
Hey, the next time we get him on here,
We gotta talk. We gotta talk.
we're gonna talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was suited and booted every time, man. And so the wide receivers, we had to do the same. It really started for us though, especially for when I first got to the league. Man, I didn't have a lot of money, but so I was still buying off the rack. And then Lewis Oliver lit me
number
and Terry
25.
Kirby up one time on a road trip about what we were wearing. Man, we went to see a tailor that Monday when we got back. Man, we had to get our fit right, man. Because you walk down that gauntlet, the rookies are in the back of the plane. So you got to walk by everybody, coaches, all the current, the veteran players. And man, if your fit wasn't right, boy, they lit your ass up on the road trip.
Gotta have pride. I feel it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, go ahead, Chad.
So OJ, what are your overall thoughts going into this draft? Like, what do you think that the Miami Dolphins need to accomplish? Like the main goal overall, not necessarily who they need to select,
right?
But what do you think they should be going into this draft trying to accomplish overall?
Well, sitting at 13 is always a tough position. I think get a whole bunch of players and see which one work. You know what I mean? While you're talking about being from the Dominican, you think about you go out and get 10 guys from the DR, right? That your potential baseball project or could be potential baseball players are really good, or you got one guy from here. You can get 10 guys for one guy in America that go out there, and you odds of having a dog and some great players are increased by going from those 10 guys. Go out there and get you a bunch of guys. We got 10 draft picks. Go out there and get you a bunch of guys and let those guys battle it out, man, for that position. I think what we need to do, and I love what Anthony Weaver did, let's fortify that defense, man. What did the Chiefs do from the Tyreek Hill deal? They went and got that defense right. That's what we've got to do, man. In defense, it's a cliche. Defense and run game travel. We got to go to bad weather. Our defense should be fine in bad weather. Run game should be fine in bad weather. Even if we can't throw the rock like we like to, those two things can travel. Fortify that defense. We've lost both our safeties. We got some new safeties coming in. Cornerback position, that Jalen's on the trading block. I don't know how the other guys behind him are going to be. The Cater Kohus and the Storm Ducks, and we'll see how they can go. But we got to go get some of them dudes that we're talking about to come in as young guys, like the Eagles did. Hell, the Eagles had 2 guys on their defense that were fighting for defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah,
players. You know what I mean?
Slapping dudes up to
So we gotta hit on that, man. We got 10 opportunities, and then what I'd like to do after the draft, and here's the thing too. You've always got to build depth. We got to find some guys. I don't like getting offensive linemen and left their tackles out of the draft. I like to get some dudes that were playing for, like I talked about before, the Ravens or the Bills, that are free agents, that are grown-ass men that are ready to go out there and get dirty in the trenches, man. So I like to pick up some guards and stuff in free agency. After all this stuff shakes out, give me some guys that have shown that they can play in the league at a high level with some grown-ass men. Because I don't care if you played at Michigan, Notre Dame, Penn State, whatever. You might have been great against some of them dudes, but now you're going to get some real dogs in those trenches, man.
Yep.
And that doesn't always translate from college to the pro game. So we'll see, some guys that have actually played against these grown men for years. Now they're ready for this situation. So I like to get some veteran guys on the interior line, either offense or defense. And I like to get some of the younger guys outside that can develop to be pretty damn good players.
Yeah, I really think that a lot of the draft tomorrow has a lot of more depth with the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. So maybe acquiring some of the skill positions on defense a little early, and then you can get your depths while with the defense and offensive line, the trenches.
Get a bunch of them, right? Go out and get a bunch of them. Let them fight to the death, man. You know what I mean? And then develop some, and then I think the more competition you bring in, it brings everybody's game up, man. And I'm gonna tell you what, like
iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah. Jimmy Johnson, who I can't stand, but that's another story too. But he's always, you sit in the wide receiver room, and you look out the window and you see other wide receivers working out. That's intentional. Because he's got guys, so we're all looking in there like, damn, who's out? Who's gone? You know what I mean? You got guys out there, working out. So
Psychological.
he always did that. His psychology about it all, man, was intense, man. He was smart about that stuff. So you never get comfortable, man. Sometimes guys get comfortable, and that's when we don't get the results that we want. We get a little too comfortable.
Correct. That's true.
Speaking of comfortable,
French.
I'm gonna get.
Wait. You got something?
Man,
Oh,
French,
my bad. Go
French
ahead.
ain't got no connection, man. We gonna leave French for the back. We gonna leave him for the special teams like the kickers, man. We gonna put y'all a little bit. We gonna put y'all a little bit. Don't worry about it, man. Hey, OJ, man, they don't call you the juice for nothing, man.
Fight for my life here, fellas.
I think in this roster, there's a guy named Malik Washington that can emulate some of the things you did in the field. Not as great because it's only 181 out here. But what are your thoughts on Malik Washington, man?
Man, Malik is a beast, man. I love it. You know, my man Travis Wingfield, you know, I wasn't out there for the first couple OTAs. He said, Juice, this dude right here is like you, man. And Malik is like, Malik's going to be better than me because of the way they run their offense. He's going to get a lot more opportunities because of the way this offense is run. You know, and I think that, you know, I thought he had a heck of a second part of the season. He got a little banged up in there a little bit, and then he came out. If they give him opportunities in that slot, I think he's just going to eat all day, man. He's going to eat all day. He's tough as hell, returns punt. Look, I mean, what was the game? I can't remember. What's the game that he won for us at home? We had that punt return, and we ended up winning
The Jets
overtime.
game.
The Jets game.
Yeah, he put us in good field
that was
position.
the Jets game?
Great field position,
Yeah.
yes. That's the stuff I'm talking about. You know, guys.
He almost broke it.
He was in my doghouse because I have high expectations for him. So I'm gonna let him out the doghouse.
Let him out, man.
I'm gonna let him out.
Hey, just to remind everybody here, and I know there's one person that doesn't need to be reminded, but somebody on this podcast, on this show right now, used to return punts too.
Who, Coach?
No, not me. You.
That was you. That was you on that baseball field. It was crazy.
Yes, sir.
How was that baseball field? Was it really a home field advantage? Like I thought it was. Orlando Murray was killing them out there. Yeah. But that baseball field, was it a real home field advantage?
Well, it was disadvantage for me, man. But yeah, I mean, dude, hell, you look at that the one game where Marino came back against New England, that New England game, man, that field was such a mess, man.
I was there.
It was.
The announcer was talking about it.
Yeah, it was terrible, man. And you know, we did a whole Fish Tank Iconic. You know, you guys got to check it out. Seth and I did a podcast, Fish Tank Iconic, and it's all about Danny's return on that 94 season after the Achilles tear. It is so good, but they really chronicled how that field was just a mess and how our equipment guys were just scraping screwdrivers all over the place, scraping mud out of the cleats, and you know, it was a phenomenal piece that Seth put together, man. You guys, if you get a chance, check that out, man. It's absolutely just so good, and so that it wasn't an advantage for us. It's always an advantage for a wide receiver when the field's sloppy like that. DBs are backing up; they don't know where you're going. You know, they're backpedaling and stuff. But for the most part, it sucked for everybody.
Yeah, I know. I remember that game vividly. I was there. One of the games that I was there. I remember.
You're old.
I think. Shut up. I know I'm old. I was there, and I remember it was like a collective silence. There was a moment that Danny took off for a first down.
Yeah,
and everybody was just like waiting to see what was going to happen. I think he fell forward into the mud.
He dove forward, into the mud.
Yeah, man. It just everybody exploded, and that was an incredible game.
Danny put that 5.8 to that 5.8 second 40 down. He put it to work, man.
He had the run, man. He had that arm.
He had them jets on, boy.
Hey, I never seen nobody dance in the pocket like that, man. He literally danced. Swoop, swoop.
He has it. The sixth sense is second to none, man. That hop up into the pocket, that the swing, the arm swing over somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And throw that fastball, man. Danny's fastball was incredible, man. Danny said, "Get your head around like Linda Blair." You know what I mean? From the Exorcist, man. He was like, if you did, you're gonna get ear hole, man. He was serious with it, man. That fastball was coming, man. So, and that's the best thing about it. Though. You want the ball on you right now. You want it on you right now. So, especially if he throws you into traffic. If you float one in traffic, you're going to get killed. So, but if you got somebody that can run with it afterwards, you want that ball now, time to make some moves and try to, get a few more yards, man. So when that ball's coming, well, it's humming for sure.
Juice, let me ask you a quick question. Now that we're on the quarterback subject, and you obviously played with one of the greatest of all time, and
The greatest.
are the greatest. Well, for us, yes, but at least for as far as a franchise, the greatest quarterback we've ever had. What's your? And I just kind of a generic question, but what do you see? What do you see in Tua? Like, what's your without if I can ask that question, what's your opinion on him?
Well, I like Tua. Bottom line with Tua, though, he's a very smart quarterback. He reads and dissects stuff really, really fast. His processing is incredible. But here's the thing about it: the best ability is availability.
Mm.
Right.
And we don't get enough snaps from him. I was looking at somebody saying the other day, hell, Josh Allen's played in like 148 or some games straight. That's why you're successful. When you play the most important position in all of sports, quarterback's the most important position in all of sports. Because you look at baseball, your shortstop might be the best player, or your first baseman might be the best player. Look at basketball, it could be a shooting guard, your center, or your point guard might be your best player. When it comes to football, if you don't have the guy in the center, the guy that handles the ball just as much as the center does, then you're struggling. If he's not there for you, and you got guys coming in and out, you're not going to win very many football games. And so my only knock on Tua, because when he's in there, he's dynamic. But when he's not, when he's out, which is, we've seen that year after year after year, then we struggle. When he was there, when he played a full season, when we go 11-6, made the playoffs.
Right.
But
Right.
but when he's not, then we struggle. That's any team. Any team that loses their QB1, they're pretty much going to struggle. They might hold on for a little while, but your QB1 is such a huge pick for for one. And when you get them in the first round, like look at San Fran. I mean, Purdy, man, they got lucky on Purdy and he became a star, but they were able to build their team up around him. Now they got to pay the man. So we'll see what happens there. But when you got a guy and you miss in the first round sometimes, and I'm not saying we missed in the first round, but when you miss in the first round a quarterback, it sets your organization back a minute. So I just think that if Tua can stay healthy, he's special for us, man. But that's been the biggest issue, obviously.
Go ahead, Chad.
Juice, let me ask you, and while we're on the subject of Tua, do you think that, in your opinion, the Miami Dolphins, instead of maybe trying to emulate what Dan Marino had and what he did during his time with a Tua on offense, the mindset should be more so to kind of give him what Greasy had and that strong defense and that strong run game, kind of what we've seen from Jalen Hurts, and maybe take a little bit off his plate? Do you think the Dolphins have done enough in that regard? Because, I mean, you played with Dan, and we all know what always comes down to. They would say Dan didn't have a run game. That when we lost Shula, Jimmy Johnson didn't make the greatest decisions, and in the defense, and there was always something, right? And as talented as he was, I think that he could only do so much with all that greatness. So I don't think it's fair to put those same expectations on Tua. Do you agree with that wholeheartedly? And what are your views on just surrounding certain quarterbacks with a little bit more than others? Do you think that's really a thing, or should you just be able to get it done with what you have? Because that's what a lot of people had the Brady mindset. Well, Brady got it done with whoever, right?
Yeah, right, man. Whatever. They don't want to talk about Brady had a top 10 defense every single year.
Every year.
I mean, that's part of it too. And hell, we had some great defenses at the end of our careers, but our offense was garbage. But that's a whole different story. So back to Tua, you gotta surround the guy with a run game. You gotta have some type of run game. You can't be one-dimensional with us. Look, they didn't even fear us getting deep. So once they didn't fear us getting deep, they didn't fear us running the football. They were in a cover two shell. Cover two shell saying run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And they did that, and we still couldn't get it going. So it really is on Coach McDaniel, for one, to call run plays, stick with run plays. But then, our backs, some of our backs are just not the biggest backs that can run between the tackles, man. So when you have the backs that we had, now I'm excited about Jalen Wright this year. Another year in this offense, because offense is super complicated. So I'm going to tell you that right away. That's part of the problem right there. This offense is complicated. It's tough to pick it up. Give it, second year in the league, I think Jalen Wright could be that guy that can run between the tackles, but you got to have those dogs at guard that I was talking about to be able to do that. And Mike has to stick to the run sometimes. He's got to. I get tired of us being 31 and being pistol or shotgun. I mean, come on, man. I mean, that's you're giving it to him. You're letting the defense off the hook. when you do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So developing a run game is absolutely critical, but you got to have a commitment to the run game. I never thought I would say this either, that the loss of Austin Jackson last year, Austin Jackson was playing his tail off, man.
Take my victory
that
lap.
was a big loss right there, man. I mean, I didn't see it until last year, but it started
Best
to come
right
along.
tackle
But he was a
best
young
right
guy
tackle.
though when we first got him, man. He was a baby. He was a 20-year-old when we first got him, and now I think he's turned into a grown-ass man. I think Patrick Paul coming this year, it's going to be some growing pains, but I think he's the right guy to replace Teron Armstead. So now we got to get some veteran guys. Aaron Brewer was a great pickup at center. Now some veteran guys at guard. I think that's going to be the key. But running that football, man, pound that rock. When that 4-minute offense, when they know we got to run it, we got to have that. We can't be in 4-minute offense, go 3 and out, and give a team a chance to go down and beat us, man. We got to pound it. They know we're going to run it, and we have to be successful when they know we're going to run the football. And you got to have the wide receivers out there blocking. You got to block somebody.
Juice, man.
Juice, I just want to end it, Juice, with just talking really quick about the division, because a lot of what you talked about with running the ball in between the tackle, and I was on this notion or on my soapbox the other day talking about when you look at us specifically in this division and you look at us specifically in this conference, we're the only team within this division that play down south. So when the fall changes and we go to play playoff football, if our team isn't equipped for that off-road terrain, shall I say, that December, January, February football, that's kind of where we kind of schism. Can you just kind of give your thought process on kind of the division? I even heard Marino say back in an interview in the past about, the team having to win the AFC East for the East to run through Miami. That way in the playoffs, we have favorable conditions. Can you talk about like kind of the division and the road through it and how we got to have the AFC? If not, we got to go on the road, and how that looks if we go on the road, kind of how we're built. Can you give me some of your thought process on that?
That's how all the teams are, man. It's not just us. You go back to, the St. Louis Rams. They had to play through the dome. You know what I mean? They had to play through the dome, but they played most of their games. Most of their games were in the dome. Even some of the road games were in the dome, and that's why they were built that way. It's smart to build it that way. For us to get where we need to be, you got to handle the division. We talked about it, but you got to handle all that early. You've got to win September. You've got to win September, whatever it is. If you got 3 home games, you got to win all those down here when it's hot as hell. You've got to take advantage of that situation. You've got to go, with 4. You've got to go 6-2, 7-1 in the division. You've got to go. If you get 9 home games, you got to win 8 of those bad boys. You have to. That's always the path, man. But all the teams we're talking about that win it all, hell, Pat Mahomes just played his first road playoff game like last year.
Isn't that crazy?
Everything was coming through Kansas City, and that's always going to be an advantage for them. You look at Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning couldn't win outside the dome. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it outside of Indy. So home field is always critical, man. Home field throughout is always critical. So in order to get there, you got to kick some tail in the division first and foremost, and then you got to go at least 500 on the road. How can we go 500 on the road? But you got to win those home games. You got to go. You got to win your division. Got to go 6-2, 7-1. Hope. 8-0 would be great in your division. 6-0, whatever it might be, 6-0 in your division. 5-1, 4-2. Those are the ones you have to get done. But you gotta hold serve at home. If you don't hold serve at home, and you can't get beat by teams that ain't supposed to beat you anywhere, especially when they beat you at home, and that happens to us too often too.
Yeah, it does. Chad, you got something?
Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think it's
that
right
Tennessee
there.
game. Yep. Forever hunt me. I had $1,000 on the line.
It's French. Nobody.
Really, hon. That really got you.
I don't even know why you mention your money again. This is crazy.
Big money over here. Big money.
They got them good.
That $1,000 would have gone for better Wi-Fi, I think. See y'all.
Hey, Juice. We got the sponsor.
You went straight to
Blue Lake. I'm doing it for the sponsor. I'm doing it for the sponsor, Juice.
You got the wrong sponsorships, my boy. You gotta get better sponsors with that
I'm
money
doing
you
it for the
got.
sponsor. I'm trying to get tapped in. Verizon, holla at me.
Go ahead, Chad.
I had
Chad,
the
go
Mint
ahead, man.
Mobile. We had to swing back around.
Yeah, you still got the Mint Mobile.
Can't even hear you. Go ahead, Chad.
Juice, do you have a prediction at all for tomorrow and how it goes in any shape or form?
No, I think we go DB though. You know, I like Johnson out of Michigan. I like the safety out of Georgia. I like a bunch of guys. I just think that secondary is a must for us. I wouldn't mind us getting more picks somehow. Trading out of that spot and getting some more picks. But I definitely do not, man. I just, I as much as I love him, I thought I didn't expect us to get Chop. Seth Levitt, my partner, said we're getting Chop Robinson right here. I'm like, nah, no way. We're expecting Bradley Chubb back. We're expecting, Jalen Phillips back. Sure as hell, we got Chop. Chop struggled early, but Chop came on so strong at the end. I'm so
Thank
proud of
God,
that dude,
yes.
man. So I just don't know, man. Like I said earlier, man, just work on that defense, man, because I think Anthony Weaver's got something going there, and I think he's got some dudes that can play his style of defense. That'd be my first thing. I think offensively, we got enough players. If you look at what we're bringing back, offensive line is pretty much intact. We got to get some guards, I think, for sure. The offensive line, but the running game, the run backs, I love Devon Achane and Jalen Wright. I love him. Madison can be a power back for us as well. We got all our receivers back. They finally found Jonnu Smith at the end of the season last year. I wouldn't even mind going out and get Tyler Warren from Penn State, but that's just
Come on. See,
That's
come
all.
on, man. Come on. See.
State bias.
I said it was a homer pick.
Hey, OJ, really? Come on, man. You right.
Wow.
OJ, man, I really think that this team already has what it needs. And we just got to build that. And we got, just because our coach is wearing like cool shoes and all this fancy stuff, football's meat and potatoes, man. So you got to go get them. I say we built off of Weaver. We go back to what we used to be, a defensive team. Yeah. You just sprinkle the offense. So with that being said, Will Johnson's the perfect pick. Starks is a pick for me. So I'm with you there.
Okay.
Outside of your homer pick, where's the position you don't want us to take at 13?
Guard. Never want to guard it. I never want to get a guard there.
You know what, the fan base is going to go nuts.
Yeah, I don't want to guard.
We don't take.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, I would. Or don't go get a punter either at that position.
It's talking to you, French. It's talking to you. Wow. And it's funny you say that, because a lot of people, look, the consensus, even me, I like flashy stuff, you know what I mean? But our offensive line is trash. But when you brought that up earlier about having grown men play grown ass football, it kind of registered. It is cool to Greg is able to pick them up, but if you think about it, you do need a grown man to go to with that. So getting a guard in 3rd and 4th round to go and learn behind that and get a year in his belt and then be a grown man for next season is ideal. So it makes sense.
You'd be shocked at the growing that happens. Like I said, you can go to, I don't care where you go, Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State, whatever it is. There's so much more growth physically still for these big dudes. They might play at Michigan at 300. They're going to play for the Dolphins at 310, 315. That they're going to get bigger. You have to get bigger, and you got to maintain that athleticism. All these guys that come out of college, they're nice sized dudes, but most of them have to get bigger. Now, if they're 370, they're probably overweight. They're going to have to lose some weight. But when I'm talking about 300 pounders, you got to be 310, 315 nowadays, man, to be effective in this league.
I agree. Well, Juice, before we let you go, man, I have my last question here. I was, going through today at work, I was listening, and I came across an episode that you did with on Joe and Bo's podcast, as far as Out to Pasture. Mm-hmm. And the topic was about aging and obviously mental health. And, that kind of really resonated with me, being an ex-coach. The impact that it had on me is where sometimes, you being away from the game, there's like an emptiness that you feel. You miss the grind, you miss the camaraderie, with the guys and all that. And, in the competition itself, what advice can you give somebody like me or individuals that are struggling to find a way to fill the void when it all stops? Because I think mental health is something that's very prevalent, that people need to be aware of and need to take care of those issues.
Yeah, a lot of guys, including myself, struggle, man, after the game.
I know.
We're so used to a regiment, to being around the guys, being around the locker room, and then when all of a sudden it's over, you're by yourself. So what are you doing with idle time?
Exactly.
Athletes don't have a lot of idle time. No, you walk in that building, you look at the screen, it's got your whole schedule until 6:00 p.m. Your whole schedule for the day is up there. When you go to the bathroom, when you shower, when you eat, when you meet, when you practice, when you walk through, when you all these different things is right there. And we've been doing that since high school, college, pro. So think about that. So I had, 3 years in high school, I did that. 4.5 years in college, I did that. 9 years in the pros, I did that. And, so all that, you've been doing that forever. Now, all of a sudden, it stops like that. Now, what do? A lot of guys suffer. I suffered, man. You suffer with alcohol. You suffer, I didn't do any drugs, but you idle time, I'm bored. What am I, 10 o'clock in the morning, I might grab a drink. What the hell is that about? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you don't have your boys around, man. The locker room is the reason that guys love the game so much. I joke all the time, there's 2 fun days in football, and that's Sundays and paydays. Right. The rest of it they can have. It's a grind. It's a mental grind. It's a physical grind. You know what I mean? It's a tough deal, man. Anybody that says they play the game of football for free, they're kidding themselves. Absolutely kidding themselves. They go out there for 1 day for free. You know what I mean? And then they take it off their pads and help. Like, all right, you got it. You win, dog. You're right. You're right. And so I just say, always stay in the fight, man. But always surround yourself with those, with people, man. Get out of the house. Go see people, visit your friends, have people over, but, try to stay in that same type of environment, man. That's always good. Like I did an appearance with Marino and Duper the other day, and all we did was sit there and talk and laugh, man, and that's what we miss most about being around each other. When you're by yourself and not going to the office every day like we called it, that's, it's a tough deal. It really is, man. So you just got to stay in the fight and make sure you surround yourself with really, really good people, man, and go visit them and reach out. I play dominoes on my phone with Clayton. I play against Duper. I play against Kijana Carter. I play against Terry Kirby. That's what we do, man. It could be any time of the day or night, man. We're playing dominoes against each other on the phone, man. And so that's how we get down and stay in touch with each other.
And it keeps you on your feet too, because you gotta win.
You gotta win, man. I own Duper's ass. He beat him. I own his ass, man. He knows it too, man. He hates it. He hates to admit it, man. He thinks the game be cheating. I said, bro, you just make some stupid ass I know him now, though. I know him by heart now, so I know what he's about to play. I said, here it comes. Here you go. He about to play double 2, and boom. Now I got it.
You got the scouting report on him, right?
Yeah, he's a greedy man. He's greedy and not needy, man. See, I come out and say, you're a greedy motherfucker, man. All money ain't good money, dude. All money ain't good money.
You'll get your hands dirty for a loss, man.
OJ, man, listen, we appreciate your time.
Sure,
this has been a great hour, bro. It's been it's been amazing.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on, man. This is
thank you, man. Wow, this is insane.
Juice, I'm not sure if you're aware. Jalen Waddle is approximately a little bit under 1,000 yards from passing you for, I believe, 5th all-time receiving in the team history. Wow. Do you think he gets that this season?
Oh yeah, he should. As much as they throw the damn rock, man, they said, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you a quick story, and I got to go too, because I'm about to go beat Rich McKenzie, my boy, in some darts, real quick." But
go ahead, man.
Chris Chambers was like 15 receptions away from passing me in the receptions list, right? And we traded mid-season. I mean, it wasn't even like
the Chargers,
mid-season. We got traded.
Chargers,
to the Chargers, man. So yeah, and then Jarvis was really close, and we traded his ass. So I'm gonna have to call Chris Greer and be like, "Yo,
nah, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it."
Hey, yo. Juice, man. Hey, it's been a pleasure, bro. It's been
Y'all
a
have
pleasure.
a good
It's been
evening, man.
amazing.
It's been my pleasure, man. Appreciate
You
y'all.
too.
Oh,
Thank you,
man.
bro. Appreciate
Have
you.
a good one, my
Everything, man.
brother.
Peace, boy.
Have a good one.
Oh,
Yo,
man.
that was a
Oh.
good show. That was a good show.
Wow. Man, shout out
Listen,
to
hey,
Jesus, man.
hey, shout out to everybody who tuned in. Appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. I think
We ain't
the boys
done
are
yet.
You ain't done. We're jumping over to 5 reasons now. Got to pay some bills with
We
Alf
live
Artiaga.
right
Huh?
now. Right
We live,
now.
so make sure you jump over on that side and keep it going, because you know what? We're about little under 24 hours away from the draft, baby. Let's
We working. We working.
Let's go.